Welcome to the first ever Sidelines UCF post game analysis. Today, we're going to be going over the UCF versus Kent State season opener in Orlando, Florida. Man, was it a great game. I'm your Sidelines UCF intern, Nick Williams, and I'm joined by Andrew Cherico, the other intern. And today, we're going to be just deep diving into everything that happened: offense, defense, maybe a little bit of special teams, kind of saying what the fans are thinking as well. And yeah, let's just get this thing started. Andrew, take it away.
How is it going, Knights Nation? I'm happy we can bring you our first analysis. Hopefully, we plan to do this more during the season. But I think we need to start off with the big elephant in the room, JRP's performance. How did he do? Well, last night was my first UCF game in person ever. It was great vibes, had a rocket launch. The bounce house went crazy as usual. But when I was watching JRP play, he looked good, had improvements from last season. I would say he improved on some of his decision making. There was some plays where he looked for his first read, wasn't there. He looked for his secondary read, wasn't there. He tried scrambling, stepped back, wasn't there, and threw a nice ball on the run. He had two or three plays like that last night that showed improvement because there were times where he would just try to like straight up run over the defense and get tackled for a loss or even fumble. So that is definitely improvement. Um, he had an efficient day over the air. He went 22 for 30. He had some great passes. He caught Xavier Townsend a lot in transition. Xavier Townsend and JRP's connection, that was fun to watch. Did not expect that. I thought Javon Baker was number one all the way going into the game. Xavier Townsend definitely stole some of the limelight. JRP, he had some great runs as well, but we need him to relax. He cannot be hurdling in the first possession of the game. That's unacceptable. We have so much on the line this season with our first season in the Big 12. Anything happening to him this early is a recipe for catastrophe. Um, and let's talk about the interceptions. Okay, so both of them, in my opinion, were 50-50 balls. But unfortunately, it went towards Kent State because the ball placement slash velocity on the ball wasn't that great. It seemed like the ball floated in the air for a while, which gave the defense a chance to turn around and grab the interception. Um, some of them was very well. One of the passes in the back of the end zone in the corner, he tried getting it. It was a very low pass, and it didn't have the receiver didn't have a chance. I saw the vision. He was one on one. When you're up in a big game, you go for it. It just wasn't that great of a ball placement. The fumble, he tried scrambling, he tried getting out of the pocket. It looks like he tripped and somebody got the hand on the ball, slipped out. I don't expect that to be too much of a problem. It didn't look like more of a mistake on GRP's side, but more of just good defense on Kent State. Now let's talk about our running back room. RJ Harvey and Johnny Richardson are looking like one of the best duos in the Big 12 already. I can predict that they're going to be top 5 rushing yards combined in the Big 12. The way we ran the ball last night, it doesn't even look like a great defense could stop us. Our offensive line had created some great holes. Unfortunately, there were some big plays called back due to some holdings and some false starts. But RJ Harvey, he took a while to get started on a big play. He was getting stuffed a lot. But then as the second, third quarter broke out, he started getting more and more opportunities until he finally got a big 48-yard rushing touchdown. And he also caught a big 50-yard passing touchdown from JRP. Johnny Richardson didn't have any running touchdowns on the day, but he did look really good on the ground. He moved the offense. I believe he had 12 attempts, 100 yards, which was fantastic. Every run, it seemed like he was going to break a big play, and then he just ended up getting tripped at the end. So definitely the big thumbs up to our running game, our running room. We're looking good. And lastly, let's talk about the defense. I thought, especially in the first quarter, our cornerbacks, our defensive backs, including the safeties, played a little lax. We played a little passive, which ended up in big plays happening for Kent State through the air. Yes, Kent State only scored 6 points but UCF plays a great brand of bend don't break defense. It feels like it's been our thing forever now. We let them get all the way upfield, turnover, miss field goal, something happens that just ends up in our favor. But against these big 12 teams, it's not going to be acceptable. It's not going to be acceptable at all. It's some of the plays where people were just wide open, and that can't happen, especially against a team like Oklahoma, Boise State, and they're going to have a big test against Boise State next week. I'm curious to see how they do because they need to lock up. The defensive line looks solid as ever. Lee Hunter getting back there, Josh Ellisgar getting back there. Even Walter Yates had some great plays. And yeah, that's pretty much my analysis. Oh, and one more thing. Colton Boomer is him. The boom is fun every time at the stadium. Boom. And one last note, the offense moved fast. I did like that. We got up to the line. We called a play. It was fast. All right, now, Nick, what do you think of the game?
Yeah, man, great analysis of the game. You got lucky enough to be there. I woke up a little sick the other day. Plus, it was my father's birthday, so I wasn't able to make it. But I did get to watch most of this game on my phone at the restaurant. That's how diehard of a fan I really am. And this game was pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. As we talked a little bit before this video, me and Andrew kind of said, man, it was 56-6, but it didn't really feel like that. It felt more, 30-6, kind of in that range because of just some lack of execution here and there, but all around, very, very decent game. I mean, when you're playing against Kent State, who was 5-7 last season, they're not expecting much. Also, they have a whole new look offense. I mean, new quarterbacks at the helm, new wide receivers, few new O linemen. That can really go a long way. So UCF's defense really did step up to the plate. I mean, as you mentioned before, they only scored 100 or they only had 145 yards throughout the air. And the quarterback was 12 for 31. What was his name? I don't even know his name, man. It was Elamo or something like that. He was pretty lame for sure, but he also did have that one interception. Beautiful, just beautiful snag from the Jordan Mask, man. Like you and I both were able to see it. It was very great. But let's just talk about some of the run game first. Their run game was absolutely weak. They had six rushers on their team, held the ball, got touches, and they only had 95 yards. So our defense did a very good on the run game. We really stopped them here and there. The DBs did a great job at that. Also, Ricky Barber had that one sack, which resulted in a yard lost. He's just Tim, man. Like, there's nothing else you can really say. He's that guy. And also it was an incredible night for Lee Hunter. Like, are we going to talk about Lee Hunter's 8 total tackles? I mean, this guy was going crazy. 6 of them were solo tackles. I mean, this guy is just a beast out on the field. I love seeing it. Also, let's talk a little bit about John Seliscar and Tremont Morris Brash, Curvis Shout, or Shout, sorry, I pronounced that wrong, as well as Malachi Lawrence. They put in the work defensively as well. Each of them had a tackle for loss of over half a yard or more. I mean, this defense was playing on another level. And like you said, the first quarter felt a little laxed. I mean, you're playing against Kent State. It's a team that isn't really proven. This is a Big 12 opener. You don't want to be like going out there too strong. Obviously, we'll talk about JRP, running through a brick wall at some point. But with that being said, with the defense, I mean, yeah, they did play a little bit of lax, but they were able to step it up. Only held up to two field goals, which was absolutely incredible from our defense. And yeah, and I apologize. I'm a little sick, as I mentioned before. That's why I couldn't make the game. But that being said, let's jump into our offense here. Elephant in the room, as Andrew said, JRP. My thoughts on this. Great quarterback. I mean, he's a great quarterback. He has some really interesting, let's say this. He's great at running. He's great at running. I mean, he was our second leading rusher on the team last night. He had 8 carries, he had 90 yards, he averaged 11.3 yards rushing, which is pretty good for a quarterback. And we've known this about JRP for a while. He loves running the ball. And with that being said, with JRP, I mean, yeah, we can't have him hurdling over everyone. I love seeing it. I mean, you see him on hurdling over people. That's what gets us highlights. That's what gets UCF out there. when your quarterback's hurling over a defender. It's a great look, but also that fumble, not a great look. I mean, you got to protect the ball better. If you're supposed to be our leader, you got to hold the ball down a little bit more. Now, it did look like it was punched out, but still, you got to hold on to it a little bit tighter. And as far as the interception goes, Andrew, you was able to touch on that as well. 50-50 balls both times, but were those the smartest decisions? I don't believe so, especially whenever you throw in interception right around the 10-yard line when it should have been another touchdown. It should have been 63 to 6, but that's besides the point. We also did get to see a little bit of Timmy McClain, which was very, very fun to see. I watched a post-game interview with Gus Malzahn. He talked a little bit about Timmy McClain. He was very proud to see him out there, see him put in the work, and he's hoping we can see him get some more play time, especially during that Villanova game. So we can look forward to that. Timmy had he was 3 for 5. He also had 53 yards. He averaged 10.6 yards passing, which was pretty solid for him. But let's get rid of the quarterbacks and let's start talking about the running backs. RJ Harvey is just incredible. I mean, we'll get to Johnny Richardson, but first off, RJ Harvey had that touchdown and he should have had another, but it was called back. Of course, there was holding, one of the worst calls in football, which is holding, always gets back the biggest of the plays. But with Johnny Richardson, he had 100 yards, 12 carries. We talked a little bit before this as well. The carries, man, like Johnny Richardson getting the carries, he's looking like the solid RB2 that most fans have thought he would be, and it's going to be incredible to see him put in the work. RJ Harvey as well had 10 carries, 84 yards, and DeMarcus Bowman had more yards than the entire Florida Gators had last night. So go Bowman. That's a little bit of revenge there because I know he came over to UCF from UF, and he's also where I'm from in Lakeland. So shout out to you, Bowman, for sure. But also Xavier Townsend, he did have some rushing yards. He had one rushing attempt, 28 yards came out of it. This guy is an all-around great player. He was also looking like the main target for JRP last night. If we're going to talk about wide receivers, 5 receptions, leading the team in receptions, leading the team in yards, 81 yards, 16.2 yards average. He also had that touchdown. And with the entire wide receiver room, with the entire running back room, everybody was eating. I mean, you had almost every guy get a touchdown, which was just incredible. Unfortunately, Javon Baker did not get a touchdown, but he was the second best playmaker for the wide receivers. He had 4 receptions, 59 yards. He averaged 14.8 yards a carry, and just overall incredible. Also, RJ Harvey was leading receptions as well. He was our 3rd best receiver as a running back. He had a 50-yard reception. Just incredible. But also, our guy Jordan McDonald, he did good as well. Kobe Hudson, wide receiver, did great as well. And our tight end Alec Holler, he still got to eat too. He had that one touchdown. He made from what I saw, he made the student section get a little hype. I mean, he's definitely that guy that can get up there, get the crowd going, get us back into the game, and just going back to what you said, Colton Boomer is him. You got the boom going, Gus Malzahn saying boom. I mean, what gets better than that? Head over to what's it called? Citronite Apparel, get your boom shirt if you're looking forward to that. But as far as our next opponent goes, Boise State is going to be the real challenge. Don't look at this game as a factor of how we'll do in the Big 12. It's not a Big 12 aspect game. We're playing against Kent State. Like I said, they're 5-7 last year. This next game against Boise State will determine how we're able to play on most road games. We're playing on blue turf. We're playing on the blue turf of Boise State. It's going to be tough in Boise State. We won't have to face it whenever it's freezing cold up there, thank God. But, the atmosphere can be a little bit of a change, and I'm looking forward to this game for sure. Boise State does play number 10 Washington tomorrow at 3:30. So make sure you guys are watching that. We'll see how they fare up against a top 10 team in the nation. And we can assess how they'll play against UCF, but this upcoming game will be the real test. And that's my analysis for the game. Andrew?
Yeah, agreed with a lot. Agreed with a lot of what you said. Boise State is our first Big 12 test, in my opinion. This is when we'll really see if JRP has what it takes to take on the Big 12 defenses that we're going to face. This is where we're going to see if our DBs are going to play as expected against the Big 12 offenses that we're going to face. But what did you enjoy most about our game last night?
Enjoyed most about the game. I'll tell you who I enjoyed most about the game, RJ Harvey. I mean, this guy was electric. I mean, yes, Johnny Richardson had the yards. He had the yards, of course. He didn't have the touchdown, though. I mean, whenever you are able to get the 6 points on the board, also RJ Harvey, he should have had more if that wouldn't have gotten called back. But he's looking like one of my favorite players on the team at the moment. Sorry. And with that being said, I mean, he was great. Obviously, too, Xavier Townsend just kind of out of nowhere. I'm expecting more from, Javon Baker and Kobe Hudson to get kind of some more plays. But Townsend, man, and the X over there, I mean, he's been tremendous last game. I hope we use him more against Boise State. And yeah, as far as you go, Andrew, what did you think? What was your favorite part?
Yeah, bro. Xavier Townsend. I cannot rave about him enough. He got open on almost every play that the ball was coming to him. And not only that, but when he got the ball, he had some yards after the catch, lots of yards after the catch. Like we said, he had 5 receptions, 81 yards. That's a lot of yards. JRP, he got it to him a couple times down the field, but most of the passes were around the 15 to 25 yard range, and he made a lot of plays after the ball. Also, RJ Harvey, he has breakaway speed, man. He
Does.
ran towards that edge, made a defender miss, and ran for those 48 yards. The video is posted on my Twitter. The late portion of the video is posted on my Twitter. But once he was in open field, nobody was catching him. Everybody else was in the dust. I also really like the defensive line play. I feel like it's an underrated part of last night's game. We got to the quarterback a few times. We got some sacks. And like you said, we limited him to 95 rushing yards, I believe. Was it 95?
95 rushing yards, yes.
95, yeah. We
Yeah.
limited them. So that very, very underrated. And I feel like that is going to be our main staple of our defense, as many fans expected going into this debut season of the Big 12. Things to watch out for next week. Definitely expect Javon Baker to get the ball more as our wide receiver 1. But I also expect Xavier Townsend to get the ball just as much, just because we have 3 solid starting receivers in Javon Baker, Kobe Hudson, and Xavier Townsend that you can only double team so many of them. So one of them is bound to make some big plays next week for sure. I'm just very curious to see how we do on that boot turf. Every fan is waiting for it. We knew going into this game, we had a great edge. We knew it may or may not have been a blowout. But we all knew what was going to happen. We just really wanted to see how we progressed from last year. There were a few things, but let's do it against a team that is going to bring a real test. No offense to Kent State.
Yeah, no offense, of course. But I'm just hoping that JRP is able to control the ball a little bit more. Watching the entire season last season, I, along with a lot of other fans, just weren't happy with JRP. With JRP throwing this interception in last night's game, both of the interceptions, it really gets you worried. I mean, it gets you worried about these Big 12 defenses we're going to be going against. What's going to happen whenever we go to Norman and play Oklahoma, who's improved on their defense exponentially over this past season? JRP cannot be doing that. The fumble, I can look past. He got punched out of the arm. Look past it. But whenever you throw a pick in the end zone against Kent State, who only scored 6 points last night on their offense and still only let us score 56 points throughout the entire game, that's just unacceptable, JRP. I mean, I'm hoping that he improves on that. I was really hoping that this first game he wouldn't throw any interceptions, because Gus Malzahn came out and said, JRP has changed. It's like night and day, he said. It's like night and day is what Gus Malzahn said, but from what I saw, I mean, it still looked like just night from last season. So I'm really hoping that he comes out in this Boise State game, changes a lot of minds. I think he's got the talent, he's got the arm, he's got everything to him. He's got the legs especially. And I'm ready to see how they do, Andrew.
Yes. He definitely improved in that aspect that um the run on the throw, the throw on the run, I'm sorry, the throw on the run. It was he had that part of his game that was improved, definitely. You saw him get active outside the pocket and make some nice throws on the run. Decision making. I saw his mind trying to be in the right spot. I saw him. He had Javon Baker's primary read, wasn't there. He slips out to another option. I liked it. The part that concerns me about his game the most, and this is what's going to be if he wants to be a star in this Big 12 league, his arm strength. I need to see him get that ball quicker down the field. There was times where I felt the ball was sitting in the air for minutes so that the cornerbacks had time to prepare. That is unacceptable against big league defenses. One thing I do want to say is Timmy McClain. I thought he had some great zip on his ball. He had a nice ball to Whitmore in the back corner of the end zone, back shoulder, beautiful ball, beautiful placement. Unfortunately, dropped. I thought that was his best throw of the night, in my opinion. Timmy McClain also showed off some of his speed. Great speed. He had not I wouldn't say he didn't show as much athleticism as JRP because JRP jumps around like there's no tomorrow, but he had some great speed and he showed that he could be active in the run game as well as JRP is. He got a lot of play calls that I feel like were very conservative play calls, a lot of dink and dunks, get it to the running back on the flat, get it to the receiver on the out route, which were more than not wide open, but they were good throws. They weren't inaccurate. They were placed right in the chest where the receiver needs them. And he showed some great flashes, and I'm excited for Tim McClain. Don't get me wrong. JRP is our starting quarterback, and we're riding with him this season. No doubt about that. The only way JRP is not a starting quarterback is if he gets injured or he just physically can't throw the ball that in the aspect that we needed. And yeah, I believe that's about it for the analysis.
I would say one thing though, Timmy McClain, I mean, yeah, his production last night was pretty good. I don't really see him making any starting moves this entire season. I think JRP will hold down the fort, but it is really good to see we have this next guy who now stepping up, taking that role, looking to be the quarterback of UCF's future. You always love to see glimpses of what could be our future for next season. So I'm really excited for him as well. But with that being said, we play Boise State next Saturday at 7 p.m. So mark your calendars, get ready. And
One more thing. Definitely expect the playbook to be opened up more against Boise State. I definitely felt like we were very passive on a lot of our play calls because we didn't want to show it with a grain of salt. But I definitely expect more trick plays coming soon, more read options, just more than basic football coming against Boise State. I feel like against Kent State, the talent on our team is enough to the point where doing basic plays got us 56 points, which is, in all honesty, amazing. We scored 56 points and only let up 6 points. As a fan, you cannot complain. And I am accepting that we scored 56 points. You just want to expect a little bit more with the expectations that we heard on some of the mistakes. Overall, offense, I give them a B+. The mistakes hurt a little bit. The defense, you give them an A. They gave up 6 points. Only reason why the defense doesn't get an A+, some of the deep balls on through the pass. How about you?
Yeah, I would give the offense, I'm going to agree with you right there, a B+. If it weren't for the interceptions by JRP, it'd be a little bit different. But like you said, we still scored 56 points. I mean, the offensive production behind Darren Henshaw is looking what all the fans expected. Air raid offense, you're getting really good run plays going. I mean, what he's been able to do over this entire offseason, just incredible. I hope it keeps going on. As far as the defense goes, I'm going to give him an A+. Whenever you hold a team to only 3 field goals, I do agree with you a little bit on the deep ball, but they were a little bit lax in the first quarter. So I'll give them some slack and give them the A+. Whenever you're able to only hold a team to 3 field goals, kind of should only have been 2 field goals, but it kind of only should have been 1 field goal. But whatever. A+ for the defense. I'm rocking with it. I'm rocking with this team. I'm ready to see how we do next week against Boise State. I hope you all enjoyed our first ever video analysis of UCF football. And, we hope to do this in the future as well with basketball and other sports going down the line. So thank you so much for joining, Andrew. Anything else you have to say?
Definitely stay tuned into me and Nick's Twitter, Andrew_Cherico. And Nick, you?
Out of pocket Nick. I might be changing that soon for sure. But as of right now, it's at out of pocket Nick.
And definitely stay in tune with UCF Sideline Sports Network. We're going to be posting a lot of content there. That's where we can find our articles. That's where we can find a lot of our takes. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. And
charge on.